Welcome to another Echo Sportscast Spotlight interview. With us today, we have Graham Loyst, currently the facilities supervisor of the Canadore Dome and president of the North Bay Ball Hockey Association, and former NDA athlete and all-star at large, I believe, too. Football, hockey, you got a whole resume. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Nice to see you. I'm Dave Dale.
Oh, yeah, that's how this is supposed to go.
And you're Paul McLean.
And I'm Paul McLean. Yeah. So thanks for coming in, Graham. I've been really fortunate to be able to get a firsthand glimpse of the Dome and being in there with the kids with baseball. You're there every day. It looks amazing. You guys have done a great job. For the people that haven't been in yet or got a chance to see, just maybe share some of the exciting stuff you guys have going. And
yeah, it's incredible. I feel like every day it's evolving too with how we use it, how the public uses it. There's pretty much every sport you can imagine is in there. And it's great because, primarily it's an academic facility. So, we have programs that use the facility. Students have access to it. And then a lot of times kind of evenings and weekends, the public's in there. And, if you've ever even swing by on a weeknight or a weekend, and it's crazy. It's always busy, always bumping. So it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, no, I think it's been a great addition to North Bay. It's fantastic to have a facility that you can really put on a level with, everyone else. Like, you're not going to say like, oh, their dome's got this and it's better, or like to finally have indoor has been a great thing.
And I think hats off to the people that were part of the planning process and stuff, because they didn't really leave any stone unturned. I know they did a lot of research. They looked into other similar facilities and what they offered. They tried to kind of make it the best of everything. So to have not just the dome with the field, the courts, the high performance area, but the auxiliary facilities, the change rooms, the showers, the lockers, the classroom.
Yeah.
So like multi-purpose facility.
Yeah.
Really hits the mark there when you're talking about what it can do.
Well, it's fantastic. So with summer programming, what maybe some people might have questions about what would you use the dome for in the summer when you can go outside, but I think you've got a lot of answers for that.
Well, we're working on answering that.
Yeah.
I know in terms of rentals from the public group, even I was a bit surprised with how much interest there's been with different groups who, you would think are traditionally outdoor sports.
Yep.
That are looking to use it in the summertime. And, it's great because you're never dealing with the elements. You don't have to worry about field conditions, that kind of thing. So you know what you got, which is, I think, a nice thing to have in your pocket as a programmer in the public. And we're still working on a lot of things because, everything's fresh still, right? We're still trying to get the dome finished in terms of furniture and the different amenities. But, we're looking at maybe doing some camps, that sort of thing in the summertime. But still very much a work in progress. There's nothing really to report on officially.
Yeah.
But definitely people can keep their eyes open because we're going to hopefully slowly start to roll some programming out for the summer as well.
Yeah.
What do you do for events when there's fans and stuff like that?
Great question. So it's tough, right? I would classify it more as a training facility.
Yeah.
Because there's not a ton of free space. And especially with the demand, we're really maximizing the usage of it. So, you could just picture there's the big field with 3 small fields going across. So you've got 6 teams playing, and then you've got the 2 courts that have 4 teams playing. You got a hockey team working out in the high performance area. So you got 11 teams in there. And with that obviously comes, parents, all the spectators, that kind of thing. So it gets pretty crowded. We're working on solutions. We've actually already ordered more bleachers. And we encourage people to bring their lawn chairs. A lot of people are standing, and, I guess you could say it's maybe not an optimal environment for a spectator sport, if you will. But I think people are making the best of it. So, tournaments, we try and do our best, not to have a volleyball tournament happening at the same time as a soccer tournament, because then we can kind of take the bleachers, rearrange it to maximize the viewing space. But again, it's a work in progress, right? We're only just getting through our first couple tournaments and seeing how people use the space and then adapting. We didn't want to order a bunch of stuff and then, well, we're never going to use that. What's the point of doing that? Yeah. So I think they're smart strategically having some things, seeing how the facility gets used, because it's all new to everybody in our community at least. So I think the kind of being patient approach, and we appreciate the the patrons and the people using the facility being patient, because like I said, they've learned to bring their lawn chairs and they set up shop, and we'll slowly start to add and try and have some better options for people when it comes time to that. Like I don't know what we would see in terms of big events. Like,
Well, I'm thinking about the World Bocce Ball Championship.
it would be a packed house. No, and like I know we've had the Sudbury Cyclones in.
Okay.
So you start to talk about teams like that. You garner some interest from the community and people that want to come see it. So we definitely want to offer something just to be comfortable for the fans. But at the same time, we have to keep in mind that there's so much coming and going. You got to leave room for foot traffic and people moving around. So it's a bit of a puzzle.
How's the parking going?
Great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because I kind of imagined it was going to run out of space there when the college is going on at the same time and Double Rinks is full, right? So, not a problem?
It hasn't been.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, parking's busy during the day when the students are there, which it always is. But the class schedule in the college kind of offsets the public usage.
Oh, got it.
So, generally speaking, the public's in the dome more in the evenings and the weekends, whereas students are there weekdays.
Right.
There's the odd class in the evenings and stuff, but it's not nearly as busy as it is. So, haven't had a problem yet.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we start at 5 with the baseball stuff. And
Right.
usually by that point, like if you showed up early to try to set up, I'm sure I've been there 1 or 2 times where you can see that overlap. But by the time everyone starts showing up at a normal time for 5, the parking lot's cleared out enough. So it's been really great. And it's a lot of space. And that's a good point about Palangio, but I think it's just far enough away that you don't have, no one's going to park there to walk over.
And it's on the other
Yeah.
side of the building, so it's a bit of
You
a
gotta
deterrent.
walk
People
around
got to
the
come
dome,
around, yeah. But we did, maybe more so, it might be more appealing in the summertime, but we've paved a track around the outside of the dome because we weren't able to put a walking track in the dome,
okay.
which was a pretty popular request from the community.
Every big building they build in North Bay right now, they want a walking track.
Yeah. So wasn't able to make that work. But we've paved that track around the outside, which, in the summertime, it's getting used all the time.
Oh.
So that's been popular, and it kind of looks a little more inviting in the summer when you walk around because they connected the path to where that kind of bike path goes in behind Palangio.
Oh.
So right up by the baseball fields
Yeah.
and stuff, right up to the front. So it's, really easy for everybody. So.
You were involved with ball hockey. What's coming up with that?
I am. Season is quickly approaching. I came out of nowhere. We're looking to open registration. We're going to put something out probably this week or this weekend. 13th, I believe it is, Tuesday in February. Opening for another season.
And this is the Youth Ball Hockey League?
Yeah, it's the Youth Ball Hockey League, so don't quote me on this, but I think it's 1986 was when my dad started the league, so it's been, the Youth League's been running for a long time. The Adult League started actually before that, but after everything shut down with COVID, that's when my dad sort of expressed his desire to hand it off, and I couldn't see the league just go away, so of course I had to
I forget your dad's first
step
name?
in. John Loyst.
John, eh?
John,
yeah,
yeah.
I remember dealing with him a couple times for different things. How many teams did you have last year for the youth?
Last year we had 16.
16.
So yeah, the league fills up. Pretty much every year it fills up quickly. A little easier now because when my dad used to run the league, people were lining up with their cash at West Ferris Arena.
Yeah.
So we've moved the registration online. A lot of help from Paul on that. The new system.
A lot of help from Laura,
From
really.
Laura, yes. Sorry, I apologize, Laura. Don't hate me. But getting through Team Link system, they have. I think they use it with baseball and.
Yeah, trying to automate registrations and scheduling and things like that.
What
So
age
it's been
groups?
good.
So there's 3 age groups. The junior is 7, 8, 9-year-olds. Intermediate, 10, 11, 12. Senior, 13, 14, 15.
So back it up a little bit. Like your dad started it in '86. He was recreation director for the city, or what was the tie?
He
to? and heavily involved with
I don't know the
hockey?
timeline. He was a police officer,
Okay.
and he moved into facility management, I guess you could say.
Okay.
So he ran the rinks.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I think he started just with West Ferris, and then his portfolio grew a bit, and he ended up with all of the rinks.
yeah.
And I mean, he's always been a sports guy, playing, coaching. So this was, I wish I remembered the names. I feel like it was Steve Boyle and Peter Lalonde were the two that stand out that kind of initiated the leagues.
Yeah.
And my dad was kind of involved, and then he took it and just ran with it. So it started with the men's league, the women's league, and then a couple of years later, he did the youth league. Andy Vitunsi, Lise Baxton, they're big parts of that. Sorry if I'm missing any names, but
Well, Steve follows our stuff, so he'll let us know if you miss anybody.
yeah, okay, there you go. So it caught like wildfire, I guess, and it's been like they sold out basically every year. It's a grassroots, we'll call it, recreational sport. You see a good mix of kids that play rep hockey, kids that don't play hockey at all. The main goal of the league's always to make it affordable for families to be able to play, and be very inclusive in terms of access. So it's the model.
What's the cost?
$130.
Well, that's reasonable these days.
Yeah. So it's it's been great. The structure, how the league works hasn't really changed much from the start, and you can argue either way where you want to be innovative and try new things and this and that. But for me, it's kind of one of those things where if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because it's worked so well for however many years. And
So what's the key to your structure, the simplicity of it?
well, I think they really found a sweet spot with the schedule being that sort of shoulder season between hockey and summer break. Now, I mean, that the landscape of hockey, as we all know, has changed.
There is no summer
So
break.
that shoulder season between hockey and hockey.
Exactly. Yeah. Hopefully you can fit it in between your spring tournaments.
Yeah, and tryouts and everything else.
Yeah. So, I mean, and the beauty of it is we have usually 15 players on a team. Well, 16 if you count the goalie. So you can absorb a couple, 2 AA kids are away at a tournament. We split up all the rep kids. So it's one of those cool things at the league where you can request to play with a friend, but you can't request to play with 4 or 5 friends. And it's worked out really well. The feedback's always been really good because, you play with your buddy all year on your hockey team. So now you get to play against them in the league. And like even when I was a kid, I remember playing against all my friends, and it was always so fun because you're having a blast out there, but you're competing against your buddy. You always want to beat him. And it makes it fun. So the dynamic there with how the teams are made, and we've been pretty good, touch wood, with parity. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know all the kids, so I try and solicit feedback from guys who are involved with minor hockey, girls and boys minor hockey.
And they say, don't do it like how we do it.
Yeah.
Well, it's just they know the kids, right? So they know who's strong. Because when we get registrations in, they can say they're a AA player, a AAA player, but there's a spectrum even within a AAA team, as we all know. So we just try and make the teams as fair as we can. The one cool thing, we've had really good enrollment for the females because it is a mixed league. I think we had, I want to say 16 girls last year.
Yeah.
15 or 16 girls, which is high for, normally we're around 10, I think. So it's awesome to see. And yeah, you hope to grow the sport. And I talked to Paul about this, but it's crazy the amount of kids that show up and they're not really hockey players. They played street hockey. And so what equipment do I need? And next thing you know, 2 years later, they're playing ice hockey because they loved it.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So it's neat to see how it kind of combines with the game of hockey. And again, you want to just grow the game and give kids something to do.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a really great program.
I think it's a low barrier as well for the if you're not a hockey player yet, that skating can be a real thing, especially for someone to transition. But if you've grown an interest in the game later, it's a great way to get in. And then, like you said, you'll have those people too that have decided, like, I want to do this full time.
Yeah, I mean, all you need is helmet, gloves, stick, and a pair of running shoes, right? Really.
Great exercise.
Yeah, you can't coast on a ball hockey rink.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, right? Your shifts, you earn your shifts.
I learned that early on, and I was like, this is crazy. And
Well, that's why I always played goalie.
Yeah. And I would play goalie, and you'd sweat more in the warm-up than you would in an entire ice hockey game. Like, it was unbelievable how hot it can be. But, yeah, it's a great workout and a lot of fun.
What's your background in sports, Sarah? What school did you go to? And Paul alluded to some type of NDA
Yeah,
legend or something.
No. I went to Scholar.
Oh, okay.
04 to 08, so I was a Bear, bleed green and gold.
And which sports did you play?
Whatever I could.
You look like a football player, but
I was a football player. Didn't play in grade 9. I don't know why. I wasn't. It was weird. I wasn't physical in grade 9, which if you knew me in grade 10, 11, 12, you'd find that hard to believe, I'm sure. But then grade 10, shout out to Murray Mulvihill, actually, who just passed away.
I knew Murray. That's a
yeah.
little loss. I remember talking to him just this past season on the sideline.
Yeah, it's terrible. So I feel terrible for his family. But yeah, Murray, who knew our family, he was the junior football coach at Scholar. And he was all over me to play. And, we were playing athletics that year. So that was the Bantam AAA, Major Bantam AAA. And, in grade 9, we had a couple guys, I think, that played AAA. And it's kind of tough to swing, but the coaches were so good with accommodating. So the next year, we were playing, in grade 10, we were playing trappers. And, they were good because the bus would pick us up on the way to Sudbury at 5 o'clock after the game on Fridays to go play. So you'd get on the bus with your football gear on. You'd get changed into your suit. You'd go to the rink when you get to Sudbury. So yeah, I played football. That was the spring sport. Ended up playing hockey. So my grade 10 year was trappers, and then so you're busy all winter, of course. But then
Football, spring sport?
Sorry, fall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. So football was a fall sport. My apologies. So then grade 11 and 12 was high school hockey in the winter term or the winter season, I guess.
Did you enjoy the high school hockey compared to the AAA stuff?
I loved it. That was a tough thing, the decision to stop playing AAA hockey, because you almost felt like you're giving up on the dream, right? Every kid wants to continue playing, and I mean, by that age, you have a good idea of
where it's going.
I'm not going to play in the NHL. Hockey's not going to pay the bills when I'm 35 years old. So I think there's a couple people for the good advice. But, like for me, it worked out because we went and played high school hockey. It was so fun. In terms of your social life, like you're not on the road every weekend taking a bus to Cap or Timmins or the Sioux. And you're more connected with the school community, which was great because you could do more. You could participate in more things. And there was a few of us who ended up jumping over from the midget team to high school. So we were lucky to have a pretty good team, which, I mean, it's always more fun when you're winning, of course. So it was, I don't regret that decision at all. And I was lucky. I was able to move on to play junior hockey in Ottawa for 4 years when I went away to school. So, I mean, by no means was I playing at the highest level, but
you got to keep playing
competitive hockey. And
that was Smith Falls?
I was in Winchester.
Okay.
Yeah, the Junior B League in Ottawa.
Good, strong league.
It was an awesome league, yeah. Like, we had guys that were, former D1 players, a lot of Junior A, some OHL guys. The CCHL, the Junior A League, is an awesome league there, too. But for me, like, I was considering going and playing in that league, but the time commitment, trying to, study law full-time at university while playing hockey 6 days a week was nearly impossible. And I'm there, I don't have a car, so you're trying to get a ride out to Canada every day for practice. And if you really wanted it, you could make it work.
Yeah.
But I guess I was a little more laissez-faire. So the Junior B was nice because we practiced Wednesday nights and you played on weekends.
Yeah. And they're really well integrated there. It's almost like a system where you've got the Junior A League, the Junior B, and then they even draft kids out of midget, I thought.
That was a pilot project. I was coaching the midget AAA team the first year they did that, HEO, where they had sort of that farm system. I don't know if they still do that. I think they went back to the Eastern Ontario Wild Cyclones, the Myers Automotive now it is, the old Ottawa Sens, Titans.
Yeah.
But yeah, for a little while they had all the U18 teams were aligned with the junior. So it was the Cumberland Grads, the Canadore Stallions, or whatever they are.
Mm-hmm. And then from there with school, how did you work for Volleyball Canada?
When I finished university, I ended up going to Algonquin. That was a funny one. I had no idea because I didn't want to be a lawyer. I didn't want to spend 3 more years in school. So I was talking to my guidance counselor. I remember the day I went into her office and I said, what am I going to do? Like, with a law degree, if I'm not going to be a lawyer? And she goes, take me through your day.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a weird question, but I did. She goes, okay, sports center in the morning, going to the gym, playing hockey. She starts going through a lot of sports there. I said, yeah. She goes, Algonquin has this 1-year sport management grad program. It's a grad certificate.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like, she goes, yeah, like you could work for a professional sports organization or, a smaller local one. And in my head, I'm like, there's no way. Like, and so I kind of challenged her on it. And she goes, let's look at the Ottawa Senators. She goes, how many guys in the team? I said, 20 or whatever.
Yeah.
She goes, what percentage of the organization do you think that is? I was like, I don't know. Like, I forget the number I threw out, but it wasn't even close. She goes, yeah, they have hundreds of employees.
Yeah.
And that's when it kind of clued in, like, oh, maybe there is more to do, like administratively, I guess you could say, in sport than I would have ever thought of. So, yeah, I pursued the program. Was very fortunate that I got an internship with Volleyball Canada and was able to get hired before I even finished the program. So, worked for 6 years there before that was tough because that was when I decided I wanted to be home.
Yeah.
North Bay, because I was definitely one of those guys that left here saying, see you later, never coming back. And as time goes on, your lifestyle changes and you start to. I found myself doing the same things I'd be doing here, but in Ottawa where it's less accessible, more expensive.
Yeah.
So I kind of said, it's time to come home, and that was the year Karen Hummel retired from the golf course. And
yeah.
I was fortunate enough to apply and get that job, and that's what got me home.
I actually forgot about that little window of you being at the golf course too. Yeah,
yeah, I spent two summers there. That was awesome.
Which golf course?
The North Bay Golf.
Right on. Yeah, you a competitive golfer?
Definitely not. No, which is terrible because all of my friends are. So I go out and I basically pay money to play golf with my friends.
Frustrate yourself. I know. I
pay the course money, but I also end up having to pay them money.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Funny how that works. But no, I love golf.
Does Canadore have a sports management program?
They
like
do
that?
not.
No,
they do not. No, there's.
I think that would be a natural. But I guess there's only so much.
There's a couple of, like Sudbury has the SPAD program, or Laurentian, sorry, has the SPAD program, which
Brock
is
has one too.
Brock. And then I'm trying to think of in colleges too.
I think Algonquin, and I want to say George Brown is the other one.
Was the other one.
And they're all structured a little differently. The one at Algonquin was fantastic because the way they did it was they had like a speed dating forum basically at the start of this second week of school. And all of the national sports organizations, Hockey Canada was there, the Senators, there's little local sport organizations, and you'd kind of get matched up, and they're kind of mini interviews. And so how it would work is you'd be in school full time Tuesday, Wednesday, they block the full day of classes, and that's when you did your academic side. And then Monday, Thursday, Friday, you were working at an internship. So yeah, it was the Senators took on, they're a big organization.
Yeah.
So, they took on probably 10 kids from the class. I think there was 30 in the program when I was there, something like that. So the Sens took on a lot. And then, all these water polo Canada, baseball Canada, softball Canada, they would all take someone. And there's different kinds of programming that all of them would do. I got super lucky because Volleyball Canada is a fantastic organization. And they were just growing. So
yeah.
It was neat to get in and see what they do.
So for anyone, watching this, whether it's, current high school athlete that, has an interest and love of sport, doesn't know what they want to do going forward, or for the parents who are trying to, starting to look at that now for myself too. How do you advise your kids without, trying to force them in a direction? What advice would you give about
It's tough because I'm not a parent, so I feel like my answer will change if I do become a parent eventually.
It definitely will.
It will.
Yeah. That's okay. We'd like to hear your opinion at this point. Get it on the record and then play it back to you someday.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, what I liked about what my parents did was they were very hands-off in terms of they let me figure it out.
Right.
They let me stumble. They let me kind of find my way. I'm sure that was tough, because you want to jump in right away and help out. But they were super good. They were always supportive. The guidance was always there, but they let me kind of figure out my own thing. And so as a kid, I'll tell you that was super helpful because, I didn't feel like they were always breathing over my shoulder and trying to dictate what I was doing, my direction. As a kid, that was awesome. Because, you to feel the independence, and I think it's important to grow up. And it's tough to do when you're super sheltered and you feel like they're barking at you, telling you what to do. But I mean, in the same breath, every kid needs a little bit of guidance because you don't know what you're doing.
No.
So maybe the odd nudge here and there, we'll say. But yeah, for me, it was because when I enrolled in university, I was in commerce, and I switched to econ, and then I switched to law. Like it was my third, the third change I made, and so I mean, my advice is like, as much as you like to have a plan, I feel like nothing in life ever goes to plan. So don't get hung up if things don't go your way the first time. There's tons of different paths, and a lot of time, depending on the person you are and the values you have, you'll end up where you need to be. So don't get stressed about if there's bumps in the road here and there. You don't necessarily know. It's okay not to know, I guess, what you want to do is the moral of the story. Because I was here I am in my, I don't know how many jobs I've had. And I'm so lucky. I have the best job in the world now, but it took till I was 32 years old to get there.
Yeah. But because you kept striving and kept trying and kept,
Yeah. And like, I was never afraid to make a change. So I think that helped because, if something wasn't working out, it's tough because my parents, you raised me not to be a quitter.
Yeah.
But you don't think of it like that. It's if you make a change that you think is going to be for the better, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think.
I don't think it's necessarily quitting. It's adjusting midstream and making an audible right in life, and you got to be prepared to do that. I think we're going to wrap it up a little bit, but when it comes to parental advice, I learned a lot myself, and there's advice you give that is like, and you can indicate, okay, I'm giving you a suggestion, but it's one of these I told you so suggestions that I'm going to bring back in about 10 years, right?
Yep.
And you can do what you want, but this you should know that you've been told this, right? And so this is coming, prepare for it. And I think with my kid was once you commit, you have to finish that commitment. So make short commitments.
Yep.
That very fair comment. And I can tell you right now that I don't know if my parents are going to watch this eventually, but I can definitely say I remember the lessons that I learned the hard way. And I probably never would have told them, but it's like, oh yeah, mom was right.
You're right.
Dad was right. There was a lot of those moments, whether I admitted it or not. There's definitely a lot of those moments in life.
I think that's, just one of those sort of things of being a parent that you just realize that all those things come back at you that you did as a kid. So it never seems to change. It's the circle of life.
Yeah. One last plug for what's coming up at the Dome. You're going to open up for the youth ball hockey, which is separate on February 13th for registrations. Fill up fast because it goes. But what else would you like to plug coming up in February?
For the Dome itself?
Or anything, right?
I saw Slow Pitch is going to have a tournament in there. Is that?
Yeah, they're doing I think it's called Dome Ball is the official term, which I'd never heard of. But they're going to do like an overnight tournament, which are super common, it sounds like, down south.
Down south, I think there's a Dome in Bradford or something that does a lot. It was the first place I've heard, but yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to them today, actually, and like they filled it up in a day. So it sounds like there was lots of demand. So that's coming up. So that'll be an interesting one.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're like the sports, like, cricket, track and field, ultimate frisbee, outside of the traditional what you would think is going on a field, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe not, but the courts too. Like there's sports teams that rent it to plyometrics. There's the gym in there, which to me is probably the most underrated part of the facility is the high performance center, we call it, because it's all state of the art equipment. It's awesome stuff.
Yeah.
So there's tons going on. It's a busy spot. There's still time available to rent. So a lot of people in the community, I find, don't know that you can rent space there either. So we've got our website's live now, and as of this morning, that's where I was before I came here, we got the online booking system.
Okay.
We went through the demo with the provider, so that'll probably be launched like next week.
Oh, cool.
So people will be able to go online, see what's available, book a field, book a court, credit card, pay online. It's super easy. But yeah, so there's times available. Like we got kids renting it for birthday parties
That's what I was
now.
gonna That'd be a big one for sure,
yeah.
because it's new too. I mean, you can only do so many of the same birthday circuits that sometimes happen. So
Yeah.
it's always nice to have something new. So
What's the website?
It's on the Canadore College website. If you go under experience, the experience tab, it's called the Sportsplex, Panther Sportsplex.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's been good to get to know you.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And there's all kinds of ideas for the dome I hear people talking about, and I'm making suggestions. So that's one of the biggest facilities in North Bay. It is the biggest facility, and all in one place. I was actually with member Bonnie Zufalt. I was suggesting, because she couldn't find a big enough venue here for billiards tournaments. And I'm like, wow, that would be something else under the dome, right? Just
400 pool tables.
yeah. Think big. Think
Yeah,
big.
it
I'm
would be,
thinking a world championship, a horseshoe tournament, something, because they need that type of space, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's hard to get.
yeah, no, but fantastic facility, and yeah, it's great. Thanks a lot for coming in and
No, I appreciate it.
chatting.
Cool.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Well, you've been listening to another Echo Sportscast Spotlight,
I'm Paul McLean.
and I'm Dave Dale. Thank you for viewing, sharing, commenting. You can pick apart whatever was said here, and we're definitely going to have clips for his parents.